What's up guys, welcome back to BIC Racing. Today we're carrying on the Group 1 Championship, but unfortunately the footage for race 3 in Fuji got corrupted, so you won't be able to see that, but we did win that race. But we're going to carry on though, and we're going to start race 4 round Le Mans. We've got a nice display by the French equivalent to the Red Arrows here. Looks pretty cool. Le Mans is obviously famous for its 24-hour race, and that's the track we're going to be racing today. And since we're in France, that's why I thought we should do the Bugatti, change from our Audi before. We're coming through the first couple of S's here, this little chicane through the under that Dunlop bridge. These are sort of big landmarks on this track. Hard on the brakes as we're through this little left-right-hander section as we're coming towards this right-hander now that leads onto the long back straight here, which is sort of what Le Mans is famous for. This one isn't the full straight where it's we have a couple of chicanes to break it up coming up, which is done for driver safety. So this Bugatti is one of it's not actually a proper production car like the Audi, not that that is either, but this is one of the sort of the GT Vision cars, so it's not actually something that Bugatti does. Become hard into this chicane. You see the car gets really squirrely on this one in particular. It really doesn't like the right turn after being hard on the brakes. We now come onto the second part of this straight, sort of the midpoint. So you can see the speeds we're doing in this car. We're like hitting, getting close to 200 miles an hour. So we're 190, and there's the magic 200. We're just trying to get into the slipstream of this car in front of us, but both hard on the brakes here, coming into this next chicane. It turns to the right. He's still on the brakes, so we're just trying to find a way around him here. We're going to sort of look to get past him into this next hard braking zone. As we've said before, the AI are quite weak on the brakes compared to us, but we use the slipstream, sort of go around his outside and past him there nice and easily as we come towards this hard braking zone. And you see we just drift a little bit out wide, we're carrying a little bit too much speed, but we got good acceleration out of the corner, and now we just got to try and break the slipstream. But that was that guy dispatched with, so we're going to jump ahead now. You see there's a bit of a gap to the car in P10, so we're just going to jump ahead to when we finally catch up with him on lap 2. Again, into the second heavy braking zone on the straight. Sort of this weird sort of future car that also looks a bit retro, very confusing, but we hang around his outside on that one. And again, we've got a really large gap to the car in P9, so we're going to jump ahead again now onto lap 3, the start of this lap. So this is where the race starts to get really interesting, as you can sort of see on the mini-map. There's a large group of cars all together. You see, getting a little bit desperate to catch up with them. So there was the odd corner cut here and there, and the cones paid the price for that one. But we're on the brakes, coming up to the back of him, trying to get into his slipstream as we head towards the right-hander that leads onto the straight. We go up his inside into that corner, and that gives us a great exit as we then slingshot into the slipstream of this next car. Just pull out of his slipstream, get past him around the outside, and now we're into the slipstream of the next car. Just closing, and then we're just pull out and then past another one, and then we're going to try and get this next guy under brakes going into the chicane section here. He gives us a tap, we tap him back, he forces a little bit wide there. It was off put by him, but that was a great couple of overtakes. That was a great first half of the lap here. So we're all the way up into P6 now. You know, it's all about chasing down the guy in P5, so we just make sure we keep out of the slipstream of the guy behind us, because we know how powerful that can be on this straight with these Group 1 cars. On the brakes into the next chicane, so through the left, then right, and we're back on the straight and back on the power now. And you can see we're setting purple sector after purple sector in this lap. So we did 3:38 on our last lap, so it's pretty competitive times right now. Coming into the end of the straight, hard on the brakes now as we see this big group of cars here. and they're all just squabbling with each other, all holding each other up, but they're also all giving each other slipstream as, again, purple sector. So we're looking to get in on this party here. We sort of look to go for the remove the outside at this point, but then we go into the inside of the Bugatti, round the outside of the Audi, and then we're just going to stick it up the inside of this next one. But you see, he just closes the door on us, but then we get him into this next corner. But no, he just holds us, so it's side by side now, and we're going to get him just under brakes here into this next slow one. You can see he started to come back at us, but we just managed to hold him off. And now we're into P3. P2's just up the road. We can see him there. We're coming into this tricky section now, so it's going to be. This is all about, you got to just get the line, stay committed, and you can see we a little bit too much speed there. One wheel off the track there, but fortunately the others keep grip. And you can see 2 seconds up on our previous lap at this point. Through this sweeping right-hander here, dab of brake there, straighten the car up as we come towards the 2 chicanes that lead on to the start-finish straight. Goes up hard on the brakes now, and it goes through the left and right. Then we just graze him as we go through, and I think that was a great overtake personally as we come onto the start-finish straight. And now it's all about chasing down the leader here. We can see it's 8 seconds ahead of us, and we've got 2 laps to go, so it's going to be we're going to have to put in some almighty lap time to try and close up to him at this point. as we join back in, we can see you've been seeing purple sector after purple sector. We're doing everything we can, admittedly extending track limits as we see as we're coming towards the end of this lap, but you can see we've managed to close the gap down now to about 4 seconds, so we've halved the gap in one lap. So hopefully on the next lap we'll be able to get him. As you can see him now as we come through this start finish chicane. You see I carry too much speed here, and I think I can just carry on, but then the game just resets you back. Admittedly, it was a sort of a massive corner cut, but I was hoping it would be like a time penalty or something instead, but the game reset me, and that's it. The guy is 8 seconds ahead now, and there's no way we're going to be able to do this in one more lap. So we're going to jump to the end of this race. It was really disappointing that it came that way. It was my fault for carrying too much speed into this final chicane here, but I was disappointed for the game to reset. And you can see I clawed it back to 3.7. So if we hadn't made that mistake, we would have caught him, and we probably would have won that race too. But it's P2 in that, so we're going to jump ahead now to the next race, which is round Monza, as we're again treated to an air show by the Italian Air Force this time. Another tricolor in the sky. But we're in Monza now. It's a circuit I'm more familiar with than the Le Mans track, so we're hoping for much better things here, as we're having this variant without the chicane at the start-finish straight, which is took a bit of getting used to, because I'm used to having the hard brake and then the left-right, or right-left even, as we do the Curva Grande, coming through this corner now as we're close right up to them this time, as we come into Lesmo 1 on the brake. You can see he gets a bit twitchy in front of us, this guy, so we're into Lesmo 2, and then onto this back straight and the run up to Ascari, as we just go around his outside here, nice and easy. We're on the power now. We're coming up to over 180 miles an hour, hard on the brakes into Ascari. Use all of the ripple strips and all the runoff area we can. Cut that corner just a little bit there, get in the slipstream of this Audi. We're just closing up to the back of him as we come up towards Parabolica now. We'll just go up the inside of both of them, hard on the brakes. Let the car run out wide in this corner here before getting full on the power. Got to be careful of that corner, as it is a bit, the circuit's a little bit raised there, so it can unsettle the car if you hit it at too much speed. We just check out the interior of this Bugatti. Got a really cool rear view mirror kind of screen thing going on behind the wheel. But I've had it quite difficult to race in that in car interiors unless you're in VR. That's just me. I just prefer this view, the sort of chase cam. Come through the Curva Grande, 200 miles an hour now, hard on the brakes at this point. You can see 1.9 seconds up already on this lap. Carrying so much more speed in this second lap. Just got to close up through Lesmo 1. You're almost giving this guy a push at this point because he's just going so much slower than we are. It's just like you can carry much more speed through these corners than the AI is. He runs out wide, giving us he's still got a slightly better exit than us, so he must have been carrying a bit more speed, and we were slowed down by him. Tried to go around his outside here as we come into Ascari. We get him on under brakes at this point. He brake much later than he does. This Porsche gets a bit twitchy coming out of that corner. We just get through as he makes that mistake. Through the slipstream now of this Peugeot. Again, coming into Parabolica, we're just cutting our way through this field, nice and easy. Later on the brakes, you have to brake through the Parabolica curve just because this car in front, this Porsche I think it is just going so much slower than I expected. But we get a better sort of exit out of that corner, so we're going much faster than he is. Try and get it in the slipstream of the car in front. And you can see we're closing up already. Over 210 miles an hour at this point. Some sparks as the car bottoms out in this curve, and you can see I tried to go around up the inside there, but hit the wall slightly. But fortunately, it didn't spin the car out, so we got quite lucky there. So we've got to be a bit more careful in that corner. Coming into Lesmo 1 now, we get a better exit than he does, so we're just going to try and go around his outside into Lesmo 2. And there you go, see, it was a nice easy overtake in the end, and we're coming up to the next group of cars now. And you can see our leader is actually in this pack as well, so we're doing much better in this circuit than at Le Mans. As the footage goes a bit weird there, you can see where the blue car hit the white one, so giving them a bad exit. But we get a great exit coming out of Ascari. See, we're being boxed in at this point by the Porsche and the car in front, but then there's just enough room for me to get it onto the inside line, on the brakes, through Parabolica, and that's put us right up into the lead. That was a great piece of driving there, just to find that gap to get ourselves out of being boxed in, because otherwise it would have been a bit more difficult, bit more of a difficult manoeuvre, and we could have had a bit of a big accident if we weren't able to make that gap. But now we should be comfortably ahead. But you can see, because of the power of the slipstream on this track, you can see the I think it's the Porsche, or no, it's the Dodge is coming back at us and gets us through with the slipstream. But we're just going to get him in under brakes into this one, late braking, and not the best one. We bash into him, but then he just goes off track, but just totally spins out and is off to Narnia there. And not the cleanest, but that was it. Didn't really get challenged again in that race, and we're coming through Ascari for the last time. Yeah, it was a really easy race after that first bit. It was great fun though, cutting our way through the field as we're coming down the back straight for the last time. Monza is one of my favourite circuits. It's just so fast and flowing, and without the chicane as well. It's just, there's only like 3 or 4 corners in this, so it's almost like an oval race. But it's great fun as we come around the Parabolica for the last time, and that makes it we're on 2 wins now and 2 silvers in this championship, so we're doing great. That's it for this episode, but join us next time where we're going to finish off this championship with a couple of GT zone circuits. Make sure you go back and check some of the previous episodes out. We've had some great races recently, and also check out our Drive Club series. But that's it, we'll see you soon.